What's going on, guys? There's been a lot of excitement over the Rock Island Armory RIA 5.0. And we did a full review, but there were some things technically about this firearm that are very fascinating. And really, when I got the firearm, there was no owner's manual or anything. I mean, it came with the gun and with an extra magazine. And I'll have the review annotated. So I got Robbie Wheaton, been a gunsmith for over 20 years. Does custom gun work, builds 1911s, bolt action rifles. I mean, he's done it all. And Wheaton Arms, and he still does custom gun work. But I wanted to bring him in here and just let him go through some of the things about this pistol that make it so unique.
I tell you, I am super excited to talk about this gun today. The innovation and design work that has went into this pistol is absolutely groundbreaking compared to anything that's in the industry today.
Well, it incorporates this super low bore axis. The locking system makes the recoil super soft to shoot. It's internal slide rails like your CZ75. There's just a lot of things about this that are cool.
There are, and you know, there's been companies over the years that have tried to produce a gun similar to this, and they've never been able to produce it to where the gun would run and work reliably. And Rock Island Armory and Fred Craig absolutely hit it out of the park with this one.
Now, Fred Craig's been with Rock Island Armory for 18 years, and he really brought Rock Island Armory to where they are today.
He did. Fred Craig came in and revamped their 1911 program, taught them how to fit the guns, fit the parts, put them together correctly where everything works like it's supposed to, and just completely revamped all of their manufacturing processes over there. And in turn, continued working with them for the last 18 years on the design side, developing new firearms, new handguns, rifles, and cartridges like the 22 TCM for Rock Island Armory.
Which is one of my all-time favorite calibers. I mean, it is a screamer, but yet the recoil is nothing. I mean, and one thing that Robbie and I, in fact, we've been planning this, is to take the 5.7 FN and put it next to the 22 TCM and do some comparisons. That's coming up. We're going to get into, though, the details of this gun. Fred Craig has really just an incredible genius when it comes to firearms, and has now left Rock Island Armory at the launch of this RIA 5.0 to start his own company again. He's worked on his own before, but with Atomitronx. And so we're going to be seeing some things, some similar to this, but maybe taking it to another level. So let's get into some of the details. Guys, here's just a little bit of a close-up before we get started, and you can see how just low that bore axis is. It comes up super low. And then we have a little bit of extra area right here that has the RVS recoiling system, which is for ram valve system is what they've named it. But one thing that I thought was interesting, and Robbie kind of pointed this out.
Yeah, one of the neat things with the pistol is now that STI's patent has expired, a lot of companies are using modular polymer grips on their steel or aluminum frames, and this one's no exception. Armscore, Rock Island Armory, has incorporated a polymer grip assembly that's pinned in place on the frame here itself, so which helps to keep the weight down on the frame. You get a little bit of flex with the polymer when you shoot it, which also helps to mitigate recoil.
And then the receiver is an alloy aluminum, and then we have, of course, the steel slide at the top. Now, it's a 17-round mag capacity. You get 2 mags. They're metal. We'll look at that when we break it down. Also, the barrel is 4.91 inches in length.
Let's disassemble the pistol. First thing we're going to do is make sure that it's unloaded. Magazine's out, chamber's empty. We're going to line these 2 dots up just like with the CZ75. Then we're going to flip the pistol over and we're going to push out the slide release. Use the plastic butt of the magazine to get the slide release moving. You can see how we got a little gap there now. And now we can just pull the slide release out. Now we're ready to take the top end off. And here's where the magic happens.
Now, this is the RVS system, and so you'll notice that there is a large block here. It's really like a fixed barrel design. And so as we push, you can see that the block goes all the way to the end. And so that is your recoil system. But what you will also notice, and we'll take a look at it when we really disassemble it, is that the barrel comes straight out. Yeah, there's no tilt with the barrel like the old Browning designs. And also it is a square barrel, which makes it really unique. Now we'll just pull off the block. It has to come past a detent, and there it comes out. And then we have our recoil spring and our guide rod. There is some movement in the guide rod, but once it gets locked up, it's solid. And then right here is your locking block. Now once the recoil spring and guide rod are removed, you can actually just take it and it will fall out. And you'll notice this little notch, it locks into the barrel right here. And then the barrel just pushes straight out. What a really unique design.
So one of the really nice features with this barrel, you notice here it's square or kind of tapered down flat at the top, tapers down a little narrower at the bottom. The barrel moves in a linear motion inside the slide, so just straight forward, straight back. There's no tilting, there's no rocking, there's no rear locking lugs on it. Like with most of your common handguns today, there's a rear locking lug here that tilts the barrel down, allows it to unlock from the slide and the slide to move to the rear and then back to the front, and then it locks back up. You don't have any of this with this pistol. This pistol is more like a blowback style pistol with a fixed barrel, where the barrel stays in one place and the slide moves over the top of it. There's no tilting, there's no locking, there's no unlocking, which greatly impacts accuracy. With this barrel being in a fixed position inside the slide at all times, it's going to allow the pistol to be much more accurate than any of your tilt barrel pistols. On the bottom, toward the muzzle, we've got this cutout here, and with the cutout, that's where your locking block goes. So it just fits in here like this. And the guide rod, when the guide rod cycles, if you notice there's a little taper on the bottom of this where it goes through. The guide rod has a reverse taper on it here that engages the taper and pushes the locking block down to disengage the locking block from the barrel so the pistol can cycle. Incredible design. The way the barrel fits into the slide, it's a very tight fit, and it slides straight in and straight out. No locking blocks or anything, nothing to cam the barrel down, just straight in and straight out, and it is smooth as silk, like it's on bearings inside there. Excellent, excellent machining from Rock Island Armory.
Now to unlock the barrel, and there's a small detent right here, and this fits down into this barrel sections. But as you see, there's very little movement. That little detent gives it just enough to where it unlocks. And so instead of the tilt, that's really where you're getting your unlocking action right there. And then this spring right here is what holds in your slide stop.
So one of the nice things and interesting things about this pistol is it incorporates a lot of features from a striker fired gun, even though it is a hammer fired pistol. You've got your firing pin block up here in the top. Just like with your striker fired pistols, you would have your striker block, same exact thing. The difference is at the rear, you've got a firing pin stop that looks like it came straight out of a 1911 and was dropped into this pistol. So the hammer on this pistol is completely enclosed inside the slide, so there's no way that you can get to it to be able to manually decock it or recock it. Once it's cocked, it's ready to fire. Kind of like with a striker fired pistol, once you rack the slide, the gun's ready to fire. The design of the locking block and the hammer assembly inside this pistol really reminds me of the CZ75. Just the way everything is in like a little modular housing here, it all fits down inside the frame, and then it's held in place with these screws, and then these screws here. That helps to hold the entire firing mechanism inside the pistol. On the inside, you've got a transfer bar system that attaches to your trigger, which is held in place with a pin.
Now, one thing that they did was make this as minimal as possible, the hammer assembly. So it buries itself down into the frame. And so that's one of the reasons why you can get such a low bore axis. Typically with hammer-fired pistols, you have a higher bore axis because you have that hammer coming up and it has to accommodate that. And the way this was designed, it's just a flat piece of steel. It's just like a little bar. And so it makes it really easy to be able to push down in there, and it makes it very minimal.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the ejector on the side of the pistol here, the ejector, if you've ever had a 1911 apart, really reminds you a lot of a 1911. just the design of it, the shape of it, even the hammer. The hammer is really similar to a lot of your competition hammers that you see in custom 1911s and 2011s today.
But the simplicity of the frame itself, I mean, it's just, there's just not a lot going on there.
Now, it is extremely simple in design. Inside the frame at the front, you can see there's a track on the bottom. It's got a steel reinforced pin at the front, and this is the track that your locking block rides in while the pistol cycles. The locking block will drop down into that track. Slide will cycle to the rear, slide comes back forward, locking block hits the front, pushes back up, and then locks the barrel back in place. So one thing that a lot of people worry about, especially with an aluminum framed pistol, is excessive wear or the pistol wearing out really quickly, because once you wear through the anodizing, the aluminum can wear out. So at the front, you've got a steel pin, which is the hard contact point for the locking block. And the reason they put that steel pin in there is to eliminate wear on the aluminum itself, to increase longevity of the pistol. Now, this pistol was designed by Fred Craig and Rock Island Armory to be used in competition. Competitive shooters shoot tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of rounds in 1 year. And they do that year in and year out. So the pistol was designed to last for a competitive shooter that puts more rounds through a pistol in a year than most people shoot in a lifetime.
So guys, really overall, I mean, this is it. I mean, you can take the grip module off. We're not going to do that. But the big thing that Robbie and I both are really kind of astounded by is the simplicity of this. And, you know, typically with things that are genius, it's usually very simple.
The Glock is a prime example of that. You know, it's a very simplistic design pistol. And I think this one takes it even one step further than the Glock by eliminating all of the reciprocating and moving parts within the barrel to help everything lock up even tighter, maintain an extremely tight lockup for exceptional accuracy.
Now for reassembly, very simple. Take your barrel, and of course again it just slides right in. And then we take our locking block, drop it in, and then our recoil spring guide rod assembly. Now remember, you do have this small little detent, and that's one thing you're going to have to use a small little punch, and I'll show you how that works. I like to first pull back on the recoil spring to insert it, and then bring this up. And then once it goes up, that detent is going to block it from actually fitting in here. So we have to take a small punch, and we have to find the detent. We're going to take our punch and we're going to depress that small little detent. And once we depress it, move the barrel forward, assembly, and then pull it out, and it allows it to snap into place just like this. And so now we've got it locked in. If it is not flush with the slide, you will not be able to put this back over the frame. Now I do want to mention again the internal slide rails. This fits down into the frame, and this is something that CZ has been doing for a number of years with their CZ75 series. And so these rails actually fit and nestle into the frame itself. As you notice, the slide goes right inside the frame, and that gives you a lot of rail section and slide to frame fit, and so it really makes it very smooth. And then again, we're going to line up our small little dots here, bring in our takedown lever, and just snap it, and then test for function, and we're good. Now, one big thing that I do love about this handgun is the super low bore axis. That is a very small area. And if you'll notice, when you bring your hand up, I mean, it fits really close. One of the things about a low bore axis is the slide mass is going above your hand. And if you think about it this way, shooting from here, it helps you to have more control. Think about shooting from here. How wild that's going to act during recoil. I mean, it's going to have a very wild action. So the closer you get up to the slide, the more control you have over the pistol. And that slide mass, as it comes back, is going to be closer to your hand, and it's just going to give you just lower recoil impulse. And so that's one of the big things, too, about this pistol. The lockup system helps with recoil. It also helps with accuracy, and then this really low bore axis. I mean, it really brings a lot of things together.
Yeah, it absolutely does. You know, the internal frame rails, like you were talking about, you've got 100% contact with your frame rails from the end of the slide to the other end of the slide. And that's on your frame and your slide. Those rails have 100% contact. which is much, much more than the majority of your semi-automatic handguns have today. All of that, coupled with the barrel being milled to fit on the inside of the slide, no tilting, no unlocking, no locking, just makes for an extremely, extremely accurate handgun.
So guys, a very innovative design. Fred Craig, genius. I mean, putting all this together with the help of Rock Island Armory, which really allows for this kind of production to be set up, made right here in the USA.
It does bring it to market, and it's coming to the market at a price point that's available to the majority of the people that purchase handguns. It is an incredible design, and Fred is a genius when it comes to firearms design, and this pistol is going to set the industry back on its heels.
And we're looking forward to seeing what Fred Craig does with Atomitronx. I'll have a link down below in the description, or I may have it annotated above. You can check it out. And again, we really appreciate Robbie for being here and kind of going through some of the details. And again, gunsmith for over 20 years. Does custom gun work now at Wheaton Arms. And also has great Glock aftermarket parts. If you're really looking for some high quality parts for your Glock, flat face trigger is the best on the market. And last but not least, the Robbie Wheaton YouTube channel. Check it out. So again, we really appreciate Robbie for being here. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. I'm touching. Guys, today we're going to look at the 22 TC Micro Mag. What about that? Wouldn't that be funny?
I knew this is where you were going with it.
As you notice, the slide, notice me over here.
You want me to do it?
No, because I want to do a little something.
Okay.
Little something. I'm going to let you do everything else. I'll just do a little something.
Okay, got you. But I was thinking,
Yeah.
okay.
You know what you're doing. I'll just shut up. He's the gunsmith. I'm the assembler.
He's the expert, I'm the novice.
Well, I mean, it is true. That's what's sad. Well, it's sad. It's good. I'm glad I have somebody that knows more than me that I can talk to. And so check out Robbie Wheaton's YouTube channel. Okay, I got it. More designs coming from this pistol. Daffy Duck here.
That was much better.
That was much better. A clean, lean, and fighting machine.